Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Love Across the Pond podcast. We are so excited to be here. And we have a great show for you guys. Let me just say, it is all about, wait a minute, wait for it, boundary setting, right? Intentional, actually, boundary setting. And so, what I mean by that is I'm 39 years old and I finally have understood putting boundaries up wherever I go, but with intention. And so I believe that at my core, a couple of my core values and beliefs are, connection, intuition, values. And so when I'm just walking around, when I was walking around growing up, just like willy nilly, all my energy was being dispersed into so many different facets of my life, which makes sense, which makes perfect sense, right? You're growing up and your parents are telling you where to go, what to eat, what activities to be in. And so you kind of just fall in line until something kind of changes and something kind of clicks. And then all of a sudden you're a grown ass adult and saying, I'm burnt out and I'm not quite sure why. I don't feel good. I don't feel like this is actually working for me. I'm saying yes to all these things that I actually want to say no to. And it all comes around to boundary setting. And so instead of like leaking yourself all over the place, what we're going to do is we're going to pick that ourselves back up and we're going to figure out what our own personal boundaries are with different words that you guys choose. How does that sound?
I'm so excited.
It sounds brilliant. I just love that you use the word willy-nilly as well, which sounds very British, but it sounds amazing out of your front of your face.
Thank you. Well, I mean, we are just picking up everything that you're putting down too, Allie. So thank you so much. And with that, should we start introductions? All right. Well, I am Kenzie Wilcox Ingerbrand, she, her, and I am from Minnesota in the US of A.
Hey y'all, I'm Lena. I'm in the southern US in Tennessee, which is why I say y'all a lot. I use pronouns she, they.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ali Hendry. My pronouns are she, her. I am based in Brighton on the south coast of England by the sea.
I love that. By the sea. So, like when
Yes.
you look out your window, do you see a sea?
No.
Shit. Okay.
But I can walk for 15 minutes and I can see it. I mean, probably 10 actually. So it's there. It's there. It's always
Adorable.
there.
That sounds beautiful. That
Yeah.
sounds beautiful. Well, with that, shall we jump in?
Yeah, I have a question. I have an opener question for us if you're up for that, Kenzie.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, talking about the sea, it just got me thinking, and this is the question for us to get to know each other, because as we've said, we're all getting to know each other as you are getting to know us on this podcast. And the question is, who would you sit on a bench watching the sea with? And they can be with us or not with us. Who would you sit on a bench watching the sea with? It could be absolutely anybody.
I don't actually know who, but I want an ancestor of mine. Someone from like great, 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 great and beyond, like who can tell me what it was like 300 years ago. I think that would be so cool to get to almost time travel in a way and learn about where did I come from. Growing up in a narcissistic household, I didn't learn about my family. I didn't learn about my parents. I don't know about jobs that they had. I don't know about like my grandparents and things that they did. I know very little about my history, and I would love to get to experience firsthand learning about where I come from and why I am the way that I am on an even deeper level than just my most recent generational experiences.
Mm.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I want to go the opposite way. I want to meet and sit on a bench with one of my great, 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 great grandchildren and see how the effects of everything that we're doing now, our boundary setting, our core values and beliefs, words like willy-nilly, and little songs that we sing when they're babies. I want to know how that's passed down. Oh my God, I could easily start crying right now. How that is passed down, in those generations.
Mm.
And the stuff that we do now, how impactful is it? Because that's what I'm living for right now.
That sounds amazing. I would like to sit down with 16-year-old me and have a conversation with her, because I've forgotten lots of things and I've got old diaries and things like that. I'd just like to have a face-to-face convo and just ask her, not change anything that she's going to do, not alter time, just get to know her again for her and see what that brings me at my ripe old age.
Beautiful.
That is beautiful. Great question, Allie. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for bringing that to our podcast, bringing that to our listeners. That is absolutely incredibly valuable of, past, present, and future self. So thank you. Now, how do you guys feel about jumping into our conversation?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, before we start, I did ask them to come up with at least 3 core values and beliefs that resonates with Lena and resonates with Allie. In the show notes, you will see the documents that I did send, and they are a list of Brené Brown's, because she's just amazing. Her and Oprah, I swear. The Dare to Lead list of values. And then I also sent, and you will be receiving Saturday Gifts Core Values. The reason why I sent both of those is because they're structured differently. And so for everyone who sees things, completely different, then these 2 lists, I feel like, embody it. So please, if there's any other list to choose from, put that in the comments as well. So as we begin, would you guys like to talk about which 3 words that you chose?
Yeah.
Allie?
I
Lena?
definitely chose more than 3 though.
Yeah,
Me
so
too.
fine.
First of all,
I
the
did.
first list had too many on it to choose just 3. And then you said, wait a second, let me give you a more detailed and organized, which my type A personality list. And I said, oh, 3 times 2 or
It's overwhelming.
3. Okay, so, but really, I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Allie, thank you for also being an overachiever. Really appreciate
Yes,
that.
I got 10.
Oh, I see. I did try to limit it to at least 9. Okay, so the first step is honesty. For me, when I was telling my wife about how excited I was about this, and I was explaining, like, we're talking about core values and then the beliefs that go with those core values, and I started getting to look more in depth, because I think I've done like the core values, but never like, what are my current beliefs or my past beliefs around it. And so if it's cool with you guys, I kind of want to share like past beliefs and where I'm at now as well. I know it's like, again, overachiever, like a little more than what you asked for, but I couldn't do one without the other. So honesty, for me, I was lied to my whole life. And so I believed for a really long time that that's just how the world was. And I have since decided that it doesn't have to be that way. Like, there are people out there who are honest, who care enough to tell the truth, even when it's hard or when it hurts. For me, the belief that once it's gone, it's gone. It's not that I can't get trust back. It's that I spent so much fucking time trying to trust people again that I never got to just experience relationships with trust in them. So from now on, if you break my trust, I'm done. I just don't trust you anymore. And it doesn't mean I hate you, and it doesn't mean you're a horrible person. It just means I've decided I'm going to put my energy elsewhere. Number two is authenticity. I believe that every human deserves to be loved and be cherished as they are where they are. Does that mean they're perfect? No. But I believe so strongly in my third value of growth that if we do not cherish people where they are authentically, we cannot cherish and appreciate their growth. And because we are human and we are constantly evolving and growing as a person, or we should be, I think that if we do not value that, then we are missing out on the biggest aspect of life, which is appreciating the journey, appreciating where we are and where we're going. Number four, I have dependability and loyalty. I put them together because for me, it is a reciprocal relationship. I need to be able to depend on you, and you need to understand that I am loyal, and vice versa. And then number five is fun. I put duh next to it because duh, I like fun. But honestly, my childhood was lonely. It was boring, and it was filled with a lot of sadness and a lot of grief and a lot of hurt. And I'm just tired of that. I'm so tired of not enjoying the things that I'm doing in life. And then I have mental illness. BPD gets bored easily. And so if I am not doing something fun, all of the other things in front of what I've just listed are inevitably going to be hindered. So those are my top five that aren't actually five.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And we will definitely, you guys, jump into an exercise about boundary setting with one of your words. And then we'll go through those questions real time. Ellie, do you want to share?
Yeah, how many shall I do? Shall I do the top three?
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. So I've got commitment, which is something that shows up and is incredibly important in all my relationships. I need to feel it and I need to be doing it. And as Lena was talking, I was reflecting on why that word, what in my history gives me that word as my number one. And I think it was to do with work ethos, interestingly. We grew up with, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. That was the phrase that we grew up with. And I feel that. I feel that in my relationships, in my work, um, in everything that I start doing. I don't always finish it, although I am a big completer finisher generally. I always have that commitment piece is there for me. And I guess being a completer finisher is that commitment. That's the first one. The second one is freedom. And I think freedom also goes with that sense of independence and knowing that I am okay and that I can look after myself and I can be alone without feeling lonely and that I can enjoy being a free spirit and also a connected spirit. And I think putting commitment and they're almost like both number one. My perfect relationship is where I feel commitment and freedom at the same time. And I can get that really well with the non-monogamous relationships that I've experienced over the years. And then the third one is inclusion. And this shows up for me in terms of my forensic interest in the human condition and finding out what makes this person tick. Why are they how they are? What am I learning about me by learning about you? And how can we find each other's language? I think that for me is really important. And the fourth one was humor, because that's a big part. And I just felt I'd say that because what you were saying, Lena, about joy and humor and laughter and those sorts of things, that's definitely in the top. So that's four of three.
I love that you said that. What am I learning about you while I'm learning about, no, what am I learning about me while I'm learning about you? Right. And Lena, I saw your face too. It was just like a light bulb moment because a lot of these instances, a lot of conversations, or excuse me, all conversations are just a mirror, right? And so if we get miffed about something, what if they say something, it's actually just a reflection upon us and how we would take it. It's nothing about them. It's always about you, always. And so, when it comes to And forgive me, Allie, what word, I was just writing all the definitions that you were saying, but what word did you
It was
highlight?
inclusion for number 3.
Inclusion. Thank you. Just learning about yourself while you're learning about someone else and how you react to them physically, emotionally, mentally you know, is brilliant, is absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much. Um, I can share my top 3 and then I'll just say the words and then we can jump into our exercise. Yes?
Let's do it.
Um, my one of the words, of course, is or the core values and beliefs is connection. Absolutely. Belonging and vulnerability. I know, right? I know. Just give me some good vulnerable moments and just get, skip to like the 3 to 5 whys and then maybe one more lower. And then we can talk about everything that's going on underneath all of that stuff. So, as an intuitive, as an empath, right, we all have these capabilities, and it's up to that person to put that boundary up as well. So you're not taking in all of their ish. You're putting up that boundary. So you're not absorbing, you're not being that huge empath, and it's draining. It is so draining. So I definitely learned that the hard way when I came home from certain social situations. I just laid on the couch. I'm like, Matthew, fuck, I'm just so tired. And it was like, oh, no shit. I need to put that boundary up. I didn't do that protective bubble, that protective energy. And so I always ask myself, is this mine? And seriously, you guys, 9 times out of 10, it's not. And then I just feel so much lighter because you can just brush all of that other stuff off.
Yeah.
Um, Anything else that you guys wanted to add?
It was just a really interesting exercise to do. And I think having the freedom to choose from the list or go off the list, if that feels good as well, is great. And then to, as you've done with us here today, to think of the whys. Where is that why coming from? Is it the past? Is it the present? Is it the future?
Yeah, and I love that you brought the why and made it internal because Allie, something you said when you were talking about being a finisher, and then most of the time you finish, and then but it's really important to have that commitment and and all that I thought of is the shadow work that I'm currently doing. And I was like, oh shit, I can't stand when people don't finish, and it's because I have been a not finisher in the past. And so, like, hearing that come back has been really, really good to me. So I love that not only do we talk about the whys, but really encouraging not only ourselves, but our listeners to find out why does this resonate with you and how can you learn about yourself as you learn about others? Because yes, Kenzie, like you said, my face says a lot, and it said a lot in that moment because that's what it is. That's what connection is. That's what growth is. That's what relationship, like that is when I look at it at its fullest. That's what it is.
Mm, yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys, for sharing all of that ooey gooiness and bringing it back to the why behind it. In order to create boundaries, you need to understand where you're coming from first in order to put that boundary up. Because if you don't, it'll just fall to the wayside all of the time. And then again, you're left with being depleted, being overworked, saying yes to things that you don't want to do and places you don't want to go. So, if we are ready, and again, our listeners, what you can do is I created this exercise and it's called intentional boundary setting because now we are writing our boundaries with intention, right? With our why behind it. And what you can do, we're going to go through these real time, and you can either pause after each question. Lena and Allie are going to answer instead of jotting everything down, but you can do whatever you want. And so through this framework, what we're looking for is just putting these questions into the forefront of your mind. It's going through these types of questions, asking these like, deeper dive type questions and is saying like, this is the reason why we're doing this. What's your reason? How does that land on you? How does that resonate with you? So let's jump in. Now it says to choose one word of a core value or belief. And you can do this however many times you want after we do this one. First question, what does creating this boundary with said word mean to me? What does creating this boundary with said word mean to me?
I'll go first if you're cool with that, Allie.
Yeah, go for it.
So the word that I'm just choosing is honesty, and that's because it's the first one I put on my list. Can you ask the question one more time, Kenzie?
What does creating this boundary with honesty mean to me?
To me, it's seeing my inherent worth, what I am worth as a person. I am worth the truth. And I think so many times people will take the truth because they want to prevent hurting you, and they won't give you the truth because they don't want you to hurt. But I am worth working through that on my own too. I'm worth the independence, just like you said, Allie, to do that. So for me, it's seeing my worth.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm worth the truth. If that's not an I am affirmation, I mean, ooh,
Chilies.
ooh, yeah.
Goosebumps.
Woo. Allie?
Can you say the sentence with commitment in it?
Yes. What does creating this boundary with commitment mean to me?
It means I love you. In whatever form that is, whether it's romantic love or platonic love, family love. It means I love you because I'm making an effort. I'm doing something that I wouldn't do if I was an island, not connected to anybody, and moving towards you.
That's beautiful.
It's so beautiful, and I feel so loved by you right now because I
You
realize
are.
how much it means that you are committed to this with us and for our listeners. Like, oh,
Oh my God. Is anyone else crying?
I almost did. I sucked it back in. I said, "Not today, son."
Like a sneeze. Oh my God. Every time we're together, you guys, this happens. I love this. Do you want me to go or should we just keep going? Yeah, I will go a little bit just for time's sake. And I will use the word, um, yeah, connection. What does the word connection, what does creating the boundary with connection mean to me? It means that I'm allowing you and letting you in my space. I am very, very persnickety about who I let in because you see the whole me versus little baby snippets. And so once you're in, you're in. I'm not letting you go. No matter how far away or where you live or anything, you're in. And so that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of worth. So yeah, it's letting you see the whole me.
Beautiful.
Let's move on to the next question. What would having this intentional boundary bring into my life? What would having this intentional boundary bring into my life?
You don't know it, Kenzie, but you are helping me work through so much right now. For me, it's safety. It's safety. It's safety in knowing that I don't have to question what you're saying because you're just going to be honest with me.
Yeah. I think for me, it's, to use your word, it is connection. It's bringing about that connection, that meaningful, powerful connection, again, with whatever or whoever that is, however they feature in my life. It's that connection, yeah.
And what would having this intentional boundary bring into my life? The word connection. The light within me sees the light within you. And so if I'm bringing my, again, the vulnerable self, the connecting self, I would like that the other person do the same. And so Lena, it kind of goes along with what you were talking about too, is that I don't have to worry if you're putting up a facade, because I'm not. And so I'm letting my guard down in my most safety, comfortable, and connecting way. And I invite you to do the same. Oh, inclusion too. Oh gosh, this is amazing. Okay. Wiping away the tears, because whoa, damn. When I stand in my core value and belief, what does that boundary look like? And what does it feel like? When I stand in my core value and belief, what does that boundary look like? And what does that feel like?
Do you guys know what a shield maiden is? Do you know what a Viking is? Okay, well, y'all Google it, okay? I'm talking like warrior badass with iron like armor, with weaponry, the kind of person and feeling that you get when you just look at someone and you're like, they know what they want. Like they know what they're worth, they know what they'll take, and it's not bullshit. That's what my boundary looks like. It is a literal shield maiden wall. Like it's just a wall of a bunch of badass bitches of all genders, making sure that I am safe. And at the back end of that wall, I have the controller that controls all of them. Because I think what is so important to remember is that at the end of that wall, the end of that boundary, it's me in charge. It's not someone else in charge. It's not me controlling other people. It is literally me controlling what comes to and what I give. Right. So to me, it's just a wall of like shield maiden Viking warriors just at my beck and call. Okay, there's a little kink in there too, but that's beside the point.
Always.
Cannot wait till we get into those conversations. Oh, I love that you just said, if I may highlight, I have the controller. I am the one who's controlling what comes in and what comes out, what I give and what I let out. Yes, that's it. Right? Like that's it. That's all you can control. And isn't that all we want to control?
No.
Oh.
I'm getting there though.
I love that. Allie?
Yeah, do you know what? This is such an interesting conversation because listeners, we don't know these questions. We are picking these questions up and running with them. So if that's good for you, do the same. If you want to have more time to mull, then do write them down. And I'm feeling the energy of the three of us and the words that we're sharing and the sentiments we're sharing. And my answers keep kind of beautifully knocking into your answers and giving me loads of ideas. It's really lovely. So I was thinking about how I always describe boundaries to my clients, which is like a field. You're standing in your field with your fence around you, and your fence is your boundary. And you decide who comes into your field. You decide your yeses, your nos, and your maybes. And the other people in your life are standing in their own field and they have their fence and they're deciding on their yeses, their nos, and their maybes. Because as we know, boundaries are set and maintained by the individual. They're not imposed on somebody else because that would turn it into a rule. So I was thinking about what does it look like, feel like? And I was going with that imagery and thinking, what does that mean? And the image that came to me is I've got a ladder in my field. I've got a
Yeah.
ladder in my field, and if you want to, I can hold the bottom of the ladder or the top of the ladder, and you can climb over my fence and come in, and we can have a little chat. And if not, that's also okay. I've still got my ladder, and that kind of vulnerability of I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to be committed for me because commitment is one of my core values, and so I'm going to be doing this thing and inviting you to join me if that feels right for you. And if you don't, and I can hold you and I can be safe with you, and if you don't, I still respect that. I still hold the place that you're in for you, and that works for me as well. So there was quite a bit of imagery coming up.
Can
That's
I
so
just
beautiful.
add on to that real quick? The ladder, when you were giving that image, for me, what it reminded me is that boundaries are flexible.
Yeah,
I think so many times people forget that as we grow, who we are, our values, they change. And the reminder of the ladder being over the fence for me was just like, we might need to negotiate. Like, I might need to say my value and my thought and my belief around this has changed. And so my boundary around it is different. And that gave me the reminder of like, again, I'm in charge of it.
yeah, yeah.
Yep,
Beautiful.
you're holding the controller, right? Allie's holding the ladder, and the when I stand in mine, what does it look like and feel like? The movie Dirty Dancing, right? This is my dance space. This is your dance space. You don't come into mine, and I don't come into yours. It was like, no shit, that's exactly what it is. Is that I'll hold this frame, you hold that frame, and then together we're gonna create this beautiful dance.
Yeah.
We have a couple more um, questions. And so just to kind of give us a little bit of a time frame here. When I let someone or someone cross that boundary, what does that feel like? When I let someone or something cross that boundary, what does that feel like?
I'm struggling to find that because I think I'm at a point in my life where I really just don't take the bullshit and I don't have time for it. So it feels disrespectful and then they're no longer allowed in my dance space. Period.
Mm. There's a lot of sadness around that. So if I frame that question with the word commitment, and I think of a family member who doesn't show commitment in the way that I crave, then there's a lot of grief and a lot of sadness that goes around that. And that's my work to do. That's definitely my work to do. And it's my it's my choice to decide what is okay for me and what's not okay for me and what I accept and what I don't accept. And I'm still grieving. I'm absolutely still working through that and grieving. And I think allowing myself to not have expectations around grief. I was talking to a client the other day and they used the phrase of um it was something like doing grief well or perfect grief, something like that. And I said to them, how would it feel to not have any caveats, or how would it feel to not judge your grief? And I just asking myself the same question now. That's why I love being a coach. You ask someone if you're client, and then you're like, oh, I must go away and think about that as well for me.
Everything is a mirror. Um, that is absolutely beautiful, and not judging your feelings when they come up, and then like I just don't have time for the bullshit. And that's how I feel too, Lena, is with the connection piece, is that if I let someone cross that boundary, what does that feel like? It feels like being taken advantage of, and it just feels like shit, right? And it's like right in your gut and in your heart chakra and in your throat. It's like, oh man, I did it again. And so from there, what feelings come up? How can you learn from it and how can you grow? So, which leads us to our next question. How do I re-engage that boundary? When someone crosses it, how do I re-engage?
You do your exercise that you're doing right now and you go back and revisit your values, because maybe the value that you used to hold doesn't hold as much weight anymore because we are people and we change. I think it is so quick to be like, my brain immediately went negative, like, oh, well, how dare you not hold that boundary? But like, what if it's deeper than that? What if I'm not holding that boundary because it's not as valuable to me anymore? It's not as important. That's why it's so important to be willing to change, to be fluid with boundaries, making sure that you're reevaluating them regularly. So I think the first step is coming back to a spot like this. And then if you cannot figure it out on your own, going and getting help from coaches just like us. We just said, like, we all are recognizing as we're doing this, like, this is work that we still need to continue working on. We all are like that. So why not go find someone safe to work through that with, a counselor, a coach, etc.
Mhm.
Yeah, what they said. I did all of that, basically, essentially that. I love, well, I know we're going to get to the takeaways in a bit, but can I do my takeaway now? Because it's
Yeah,
fresh and
that's
I might
totally
forget
fine.
it.
Well, oh, I have such a good thing.
Oh, tell me the thing. Tell me the thing.
What do I need to let go of in order to create this boundary?
Uh,
What do I need to let go of in order to create this boundary?
I use the word expectation a lot in the coaching space, and I like to partner it with the theme that's coming up for me during this session, which Lena's brought up for me, which is around flexibility. I'd like to partner those two things, the expectations and on the one side and the flexibility on the other side, and how they overlap and interact with each other.
Mm.
Lena,
Can you ask the question one more time?
what do I need to let go of in order to create this boundary?
Mm. I really like what Ali said too, but I also really like to be a rebel. So can I change it?
Yeah,
Can I change it to what I need to hold on to? Because
yeah.
what I have recognized and what I'm taking away from this episode is actually that I need to hold on to the why. I need to recognize why I'm doing this and why these values hit so deep in me. Because when I read the list, like, some of them stand out to me. Why? When I go and dive deeper, what I have recognized is if I don't know the why, I don't have the ground to stand on to stand with that boundary. I don't have the ability to hold it if I don't know why. So what I need to actually do is, rather than letting go of something, I need to take it more seriously and go dig deeper and find the why as to why is this important, and then look inside and figure out where is it in me that this is important, because it's not an external thing.
I mean yup, that's it. That's exactly it. Is you just nailed it. Is I need to figure out why this is so important to me. Otherwise, I have no room to stand on. I have no ground to stand on. And that's what a boundary is that why is this so important? And why is this either rubbing me the wrong way? Why does this feel so good to stand in this? Why does it feel so good to say yes for some things and then no for some things? Take a look at what you're saying yes to. How does that feel? And what's the underlying current? The things that you say no to, same thing. So then you can start sussing out what you really like to do, what you want to do, and then create that boundary around that. Is it family? Is it connection? Is it, is it spirituality? Is it commitment? Is it freedom?
Mm,
Self-worth? All of those great core values and beliefs will give you a huge glimpse into what moves you and why. It's up to you to ask those questions.
I
It
love
really
it.
is.
I
Um,
love that thought for people who struggle with saying no as well, or they're working on it. I love that thought that saying no creates space for a juicy yes.
I mean, we have so many hashtags from this episode.
We do.
No. Uh,
Yeah, this is probably my favorite so far. Definitely needs to be shared with everyone. You need to like, you need to comment, share what you're taking away in the comments, because I am so excited to hear from our listeners. Like, that's the most exciting part about this for me, is like the connection. It's the learning about other people and being able to learn about myself in the process.
And that's what this is all about. This
Yeah.
is why we created this podcast. This is why us three came together, is so we can connect with ourselves, connect with each other, and then connect outwardly, right? As within, so without. I absolutely love that. Um, I I feel that we've done our takeaways. Is there something else that you guys wanted to add?
don't think so.
I don't think so. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this topic to Love Across the Pond.
Thank you so much. And we're so excited. Let us know how you guys like it in the comments. Again, what Lena said, share it. Share it with everyone. This is such a great exercise, you guys. So thank you again for allowing us into your space.
Bye, everyone.